Humanity Matters.
Welcome back here to the Fog of War and Humanity. I'm your host, Richard Acritelli, here on HMTV. We went through our first episode with Keith, kind of talking about his roots here on Long Island, Uniondale, Levittown, Massapequa. A little humor in terms of some of it is at his own expense. Some of it is just laughing in general, in terms of maybe getting a little bit of trouble. His time in high school, the Marine Corps, a little criminal justice as well, and kind of, serving here in this country, right? And what would you say about Camp Pendleton? Was that had to be a big place where, trouble could probably find you a little bit?
Yeah, trouble finds me everywhere for some reason. But wherever you are, if there's a duty station, any service, any place that there's a military duty station, there's trouble because they build it around us. They know that, they're going to put bars there. They're going to put women there. They're going to be other people drinking there. So
pool halls.
There's it's not too hard to find. You don't have to go out of your way.
And you got guys from all over the place.
Yep. Different personalities.
One
different
thing about
cultures.
the military, that's a melting pot of geography.
Yep.
For this country, right?
Yeah, no, it was a great experience with different cultures, different people from the South, with people from the North, and country music versus rock and roll. And,
Was there any one region, like I like the Midwestern guys.
Right.
They liked me. I liked them, right? Was there any one region that you gravitated towards?
You know what? The Southern, I got along good with black people for some reason. And my girlfriend today is, my ex-wife was Jamaican. And I don't know why. I mean, I was a street kid. I was into that whole culture.
I got along very well with the Southern black.
I didn't. Oh, I got the Southern black. Yeah.
They got along well with me.
I didn't get along good with the Southern whites for some reason.
That was the same thing with me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Those guys are still fighting in the Civil War. Some of them.
Two of my roommates were Southern, and when they wanted me out of the room, they used to blast country music because,
Little Merle Haggard.
Yeah. But you know what? And even though I was different race, for some reason, there was a level of respect between, black Southerners and white Northerners. That white Northerners don't give white Southerners, don't have that same respect because it's...
Well, think about where you grew up. It's a total melting pot.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Different ethnic,
Yep.
racial, religious, and even wealth as well.
Yeah.
Right? You go from Uniondale to Hempstead, which is completely different.
Yeah, I worked
to
in
Garden
Hempstead,
City, which is completely different. You're more apt to dealing with different people.
Right.
I tell the kids that in school. You're going to do better than most regions because you're dealing with other groups of people. And that's what you...
Makes
that's
sense.
what you were probably used to, right?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Yeah. So, it's just how I was wired, and I got along good with a lot of people. Like I could tell, I always joke. I was like, once you get to know me a little while, I'll come out of my shell. But it wasn't always like that. I used to have to drink to come out of my shell, and I had to go through a transformation, to learn how to live and be me without, because it was just
drinking, right?
Yeah, because I just started at such a young age. It's all I knew.
What was your drink? Was it anything? Was it beer?
It was anything: beer, wine, rum, tequila. Well, not so much vodka. Whatever I got my hands on, I mixed it up, and there wasn't any Long Island iced teas I like because I got the most for my money. That was it. How can I get as drunk as I can for as little money as possible?
And it was in excess.
Oh, real in that. Like before I even went to the bar, I would have to have 2 6-packs of Tall Boys or a fifth of rum.
It's like 15 beers.
Yeah, before I even left the house. Yeah. That's how it was for me. And, and then, I got into harder drugs and, it's...
So one led to another.
Yeah.
So like one drink led to another drink.
Yeah.
You did enough of that, then all right, let me get another sort of...
Yeah, I need something more than alcohol. Otherwise, I'm just going to be a...
Did that develop in the military?
No.
The drinking developed in the military, though, right?
Yeah, in the military, I didn't really... I did drugs before the military, But when I was in the military, it was mostly just alcohol. When I was in the Philippines,
and then when they told you drank too much, that started in Okinawa?
Yeah, that was in Okinawa.
Did you have an officer or an NCO that kind of sat you down and said, listen, you could get yourself in trouble here? Right?
Well, they put me in a treatment, and they told me, you got to go to this for like a week. And 2 weeks, you sit down with a bunch of other people, and and then they say, be honest, it's no big deal. Yeah. Just, and I was drinking every day.
Yeah.
And then they wanted to put me on antabuse, which makes you violently ill if you drink. And so I was going to the higher level of treatment because the level they were putting me in was no good. But my duty station got changed.
Were you a functioning alcoholic?
Yeah.
Where you were drinking, but you could still do what you needed to do?
At that time, most of the time. Wow. There would be times where I was at work and they caught me sleeping in the battery shop when things were slow.
Yeah.
But when I was in the fields, I was a really good Marine. I got a certificate of commendation. I got put up for a Navy Achievement Medal because I was good at what I did. As long as I wasn't on liberty.
Yeah.
There was a funny story. We were going from Japan to Korea. We were in Toksok-ri, and the major walked down, and I was cleaning pipes in the boiler room, and everyone's on liberty. And he was with the gunny, and he's like, what's this Lance Corporal doing here cleaning pipes? Everyone's on liberty. Why isn't he out on liberty? And the gunny's like, well, that's Lance Corporal Godwin. We don't give him liberty in foreign countries. It's just not a good thing, So
the glass is half full.
They just never knew if I would make it back. But when I was in the field, I knew my job, and I did it well.
Yeah.
So, I was good at what I did. Like I would be the guy if there was a situation. I never was in combat, but the field was the closest we had to combat because we're training. We worked with the South Koreans. I did the radio operators, and I remember when I got my certificate of commendation, the gunny sergeant who was supposed to be in charge couldn't go, and it was me and my sergeant had to run the whole comm, and my sergeant got hurt in the field. So I was the only one. I was a Lance Corporal, and I had to run the comm for the whole unit. And I got to do it my way because there was no one in charge of me. And some colonel came or something. He's like, this is the best and there's like, who's in charge? Let me meet the gunny. Well, the gunny's not here. Let me meet the sergeant. He's not here. Who did this?
Yeah.
And then it was me. And
what was your rank there?
Lance Corporal.
Lance Corporal.
And I had to train the missile guys to run the radios because I had no one to run them. That's what I did because I had to do the other people's jobs. So I taught them, how to do the radios, it made me feel good because even though I did get in a lot of trouble, I was a little crazy. When it came to what I needed to do, I was good at that.
And the 80s was a big time for the military.
Yeah.
You come out of Vietnam, right? First war we ever lose. Then the deterioration of the military in the 1970s, in the earlier part, it just didn't happen overnight when Reagan came in. It took a little bit to get the military going. And they flooded the military with a lot of money, a lot of training, resources. I was in the service in the early 90s. It was like one of the worst times to be in.
You were in Desert Storm?
I was a kid. I was a junior or a sophomore in high school. So I was in between.
Oh, okay.
But we had equipment that we were training with. I hauled jet fuel, JP8.
Right.
And you hit a bump and water would come down off the ceiling and splash you in the face. And you'd say, this can't be safe in any imaginable way.
Right.
But the service said, hey, the truck is going. You get in there.
Yeah.
And the 80s was a lot of money for training, a lot of deployments, right? I mean, there was a lot of also some crazy stuff going on. And to get back to you with the Liberty, there's that movie, Charlie Wilson's War, right? And Wilson's, what was he? He was a Naval Academy officer. He graduated with like the most demerits. And he says to the girl as he's pouring the alcohol, he goes, my commanding officer wrote about me. I was the best one he served when at sea and the worst when we came back.
Yeah. That's kind of what that was kind of my story.
And then he just left,
Well, what I love now is the camaraderie now that I'm out of the Marines and to work with veterans. And, I don't care what service. It's like a bonding. And I ride with a motorcycle club called the Leathernecks. And, it's all Marines or Navy corpsmen. And we hang out with other military clubs, Long Island military vets. And
you got to bring them by the museum that I did in Rocky Point. I built the Military History Museum right across the street from the VFW. got to bring those guys there for.
Yeah, we went
got
to
a big parking lot over there on Prince and Rocky Point.
That's a definite thing.
Yeah.
We just went to Virginia to do we went to the Marine Corps Museum in Virginia. We rode up there not a couple of months ago.
What do you think of that museum? Pretty wild,
pretty
right?
powerful, man. It blew my mind. I brought my son.
Yeah.
Because one of the guys' wives drove. We rode our motorcycles there, but we brought our kids and our families.
Yeah.
So it was it was just something I'll never forget.
You talk about being a Marine, you talk about being in trouble, and a couple of negatives, but you also talk about doing your own duty as well. And I'm proud of that, right?
Right.
The movie Full Metal Jacket, who's that? Arlie Emery, the gunnery sergeant,
right,
is talking about being a Marine, and it's in you. This is what it is.
Right.
It doesn't leave you.
No.
Right? It's always there.
It's
right?
always, it's just, I wear a lot. My girlfriend gets on me sometimes because I wear a lot of Marine stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
She goes, why do you always wear? It's just wherever I go, like, whether it's a Marine or another service member or a civilian, acknowledging, it feels good.
Yeah.
I go, it's like one of the things I'm most proud of in my life is being a Marine and getting out and connecting with other Marines of all generations. And it's wherever I go, I hear Semper Fi or whatever. Yeah. It just feels really, well, thank you for your service. It feels good, man.
It's a good feeling, right? And
Yep.
you get guys like Ted Williams, who had unbelievable hand-eye coordination, hits 406, right?
Yeah.
Guy's a fighter pilot.
Right.
He gives up 5 or 6 years of his prime between World War II and Korea.
Yeah.
Tom Seaver, who's not only a power pitcher, but he was a cerebral, right? Very smart guy. He was a Marine. It's one of those things where it kind of stays in you, a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think Seaver said that the Marine Corps helped him with his pitching.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like that toughness, and the training as well. Now, you're in Okinawa. What was your job in Okinawa? Was it the communications?
Yeah, I was a communicator. Yeah, I did. We have what's called Prick 77s, which were battery-operated things. We had to set up antennas in the field so everyone can communicate. There's like a radio protocol, how you talk. There's what's called crypto gear, which you put on, which descrambles so the enemy can't pick up what you're saying.
Sure.
So there's a whole thing to communicating when you're in the service, because if the first one that gets taken out is a guy with a radio on his back, because they know the enemy if they take out, and you're usually always with the officer in charge. Yeah. So that's the first, the life expectancy of a radio operator is the shortest in combat.
Yeah, you're cutting off the head of the command.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
and me being 6'6", I would have been an easy target.
You're 6'6", huh?
Yeah.
Big boy, right? So
yeah. I spurted up there. It wasn't so good when we were on the Navy ship. I was banging my head everywhere. The racks were too small. It was.
Is that why you got a little bit of trouble? Because people were looking to get the biggest guy in the room, and chances were you were that guy?
It's funny you say that. That wasn't always the case, but there were cases, and I call it Napoleon syndrome, where you get a little guy who gets a few too many in them, they want to mess with the biggest guy there. And I'm like, sometimes that does happen, but that wasn't always the case.
When you were in boot camp and you're standing straight up and you're looking, did you have any instructors that were below you? And then when you look down, did they say, "Stop looking down on me"? Right? It doesn't.
No,
you don't win with that.
They
right?
never said that to me, but they would get in my face more than most, because they were both very small Southern guys.
Yeah.
And they really went after me strong. Like they both from the South, both smaller than and they just.
This Yankee troublemaker.
Yeah. It was almost stigmatized being from New York, being so they.
When you were in Okinawa, did you notice anything from the war? Because the fighting just was such a disaster there, right? I mean,
they used to protest in Naha, where it was the where I was in Camp Kinzer, and the locals protested once a year, and we weren't allowed to go out in town. So there was still some bitterness that didn't all go away. There were certain clubs and bars you weren't allowed in unless you were with someone from Japan. And there was some bars that Marines were allowed in, but there was some places that we were restricted from. And I was furthest out into town. Like I had one of the duty stations that was right in the town, so there was everything wasn't all great all the time. There was some, things, and of course, I mean, look what happened to them. So especially with the older, people and their families, and I'm sure people lost lives. And
the Japanese were using them as shields in terms of the fighting, right? Which is awful.
The nuclear, using a nuclear war, that pain and so doesn't go away automatically because we're, so.
Yeah, Iwo Jima and Okinawa was really one of the main reasons why the bomb was dropped, right? Because the Japanese just kept on going, and the casualties were high. And they kind of said the war would go until 1947 with 200,000 American casualties, Americans killed. And
it's scary.
Part of the war,
it's
right?
scary because there's disagreements on what we should have done, if we should have done it twice, if we shouldn't. But maybe it saved some lives. But nowadays, with the way technology is and how advanced nukes are, man, it can end the world, man. Yeah. It's really scary. It's really.
Now, did you go around Okinawa and see like the mountains and the caves and all that sort of stuff, or
no?
That wasn't.
I didn't really do the cultural thing. I was more in the bars and we went out into town and I did a lot of partying in Okinawa.
Did they have American beers there and Japanese stuff?
Yeah, they had the American beers and they kind of Americanized a lot of clubs. Okay. There was a whole. They used to bring in they used to have a lot of like the women bars, like buy me drinky bars, we call them. But they would bring girls in from like the Philippines and whatever. That would all the Japanese, like they're like very like they're not third world. They're like you can hook up with a Korean or a Filipino pretty easy, but to get a Japanese woman, you had to they didn't need you because you're an American or a vet.
The Japanese and Germans in the 70s and early 80s, they were surpassing us.
Yeah.
With our own technology and productivity and strength, So now you go to the Philippines. What do you do in the Philippines? Did you just travel there?
Yeah, I went there R&R. It was the best 20 days of my life.
Was that Subic? Did you go to Subic?
No, I didn't. I went to Angeles City, which is an Air Force base. They had a hurricane or whatever, some kind of volcano. I don't think it's there anymore. I think, but it was Clark Air Force Base. But I did go to Subic for one day because I lost my ID.
Yeah.
And I had to go
Big places, right?
Yeah.
Did you go to Corregidor or Bataan or any of those places? No. Okay.
No. I just, I stayed in a hotel for like $3 a night. It was like a 5-star hotel. And just me and my buddy went and just women galore. And just, you go out with a handful of, like $5. You come back with change. You ate dinner. You got a woman. It was just insane. The time I had there. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so now you leave the Philippines. Where do you end up? Back at Okinawa?
Well, yeah, I just went there for 20 days. My first year was in Okinawa. I left in at the end of '86. I was there for all of '87 to December of '87. Then I came and I was stationed at Cherry Point, North Carolina, for the rest of my time. A little time in Lejeune, but mostly Cherry Point.
So you really saw an interesting part of the Cold War because you saw the escalation of just the arms, the military, everything through the ceiling. But you also saw the end of the Cold War as well, right? I mean, you might not have been in uniform, right, at that point, or were you when the Berlin Wall came down?
I don't remember the exact
What
dates
year do you...
I was in from 86 to 90. I got out in March of 1990.
So you saw, all those things coming down as you were still in uniform.
Yeah.
That's between 89 and 90.
Yeah,
right?
There's a lot I didn't see because, again, I just did what I had to do when I had to do it. And I was in my own little, like almost like head because I was just going around. I was proud to be a Marine. I was traveling. I was going, Liberty all the time and having fun. And, it was going to the field. We'd go in for months, go to the field and do our training.
Did you like being out in the field?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you like about the field?
I felt respected because I was really good at what I did. And, it was a chance for us to all bond and just be out there together. There was not leaving anyone, doing the tents. It was a chance where, like, everyone in your unit, you just had to depend on anyone, and you came together in a different way than you go to your own room or you go at your own crowd. Like we're stuck together now.
Yeah.
It was and you were there for a while. You had to survive on MREs and sometimes they would do hot food, but
what MRE did you like best?
I like the dry pork, man. You add some water to that. We used to figure out how to jack them up too. You learn how to make them the best you can. And
put a little Tabasco sauce in there.
Yeah. We used to trade stuff. The whole. I used to like the whole thing, man. And you learn different things and different ways to eat stuff. And we always had liquor in the field too. There was always a guy that you send money out, and we would sit there and
probably the quartermaster or a transportation guy who had little cubby hole.
There was always liquor.
We
would send someone out, and we would hang out, and after the day was over, just sit there and drink and talk, and it was it just made you feel like, wow, this is pretty cool.
Now you go to South Korea, right? Where do you end up in South Korea?
I was there on a mission called Team Spirit.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's two missions that go from Japan, Team Spirit and Bear Hunt, and what it's for is we're friendly with South Korea, and North Korea, of course, is not. So we would join forces with the South Koreans just to kind of let the North Koreans know we still got their back.
That annual training.
Right. Mm-hmm. So we would train with the South Koreans for a little while, which was. It was pretty cool to mix the.
And in the 1980s, there was some crazy stuff going on. They found a tunnel. Then you had a North Korean soldier, I think, take an axe and hit an American soldier on the South Korean side. There was some wild things
they were very strict with that border because I wasn't too far from it, and they had people on watch, and they did little drills to kind of check you, and we didn't have live weapons, but I remember I had the. What was it? The M50 or the M60? The M60.
Yeah.
And I was there, and I was on fire watch. It was like 2 a.m, and the password was you would say tree, and then the counter word would have to be leave. Wow. Like who's over there near the tree? I'm about to leave, so they're friendly.
Yeah.
So I was on. It was 2 a.m. I had the night vision goggles, and I'm like, who's over there near the tree? And they're just like, and I said it again. I said it a third time. They didn't answer, so I just started firing. And it's blanks with the thing on the top, but it was a South Korean panhandler that didn't know. They were, and all his stuff.
Everyone still living today.
Everyone came running out of the hooch with their, because they hear the weapon go off at 2 a.m. It was just, he was on the ground, thought he was. He didn't know it was blanks. But I was on point, and but that was one funny story I remember when I was in Toksakri when I was in Korea.
One of my best friends from the Army. Kind of like a fun-loving, like yourself, a fun-loving guy. He goes over to South Korea when he's 19 years old. So now he goes to Seoul. He's drinking, and he's drunk, and they start heading. The taxi starts taking him towards the DMZ. So now he goes. I sober up real quick.
Yeah, right.
There's no signs.
Yeah.
There's no lights.
Yeah.
And the cab driver kept saying, "I want big tip." He goes, "I'll give you the money. Get me back.
Right.
Get me the heck out of here."
Yeah.
He goes, "I almost killed that guy." And And he just laugh. He just because sometimes it's the craziest thing. You can't make it up.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So how long were you there for?
In Korea?
In Korea.
Not long. Maybe 3 weeks.
Was there any one part of South Korea that you liked?
I was in one spot. Yeah. We were in the field. It's kind of like being in the field.
Yeah.
You did get some liberty when you were on the ship, but I didn't. So, I was in Toksakri the whole time in the field. They didn't give me any liberty.
Okay.
So I had the experience of working with the South Korean.
Okay. What did you think of them, the South Koreans?
They were cool. They respected us.
Yeah.
Yeah. They looked up to us. Like we had better food. We would hook them up.
And they respected the border too because they knew we were there.
Yeah. They were glad to have us. We were like their big brothers.
Still today.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a tale of two borders.
Yeah.
On one side of the border is a nuclear border, right?
Yeah.
But one of the most archaic places, rogue places that you can go to.
Right.
The North Korean soldiers are the first time seeing internet in the Ukraine. Because everything's been shut off to them,
Right.
And then on the South Korean side of the border, you have the 8th largest U.S. trading partner, 12th largest economy in the world, in a country that's like the size of New Jersey and Connecticut together, And, in a lot of ways, we kind of won the Cold War because just look at that border. Look at the strength of South Korea, right?
Yeah.
And, all the technology. I think was it Hyundai and Samsung. You got a lot of those coming here to America, and that would not be the case if it wasn't for us from 1950 to 1953. So, but all right, so we're gonna come back for a third episode. We're gonna kind of get into a little bit of the comedy.
All right.
Right.
No, this is cool.
Working for the VA.
Being a lot of people, you talk to combat people, but to talk to like a non-service person, a non-combat person, and we're all military, man.
Yeah.
When we serve, it's
the stories are there,
right?
The stories are there,
Yep.
And it's good having you here. And this is a little bit of a different look in terms of the service and helping others and making mistakes and getting through it, right? And so on, right?
Yeah.
So, but all right, we're gonna come back with Keith for a third episode on the fog of war and humanity, and we'll be right back with you.
If you enjoyed exploring the information, history, and stories in today's conversation, be sure to check out our other podcasts here on HMTV. Please subscribe, share, and stay connected for more engaging conversations.
Humanity Matters.